A human heart, even at rest, beats 100,000 times a day. If you were a giant just 10 times our size, your heart would rupture from its own weight in mere minutes. This is the horrifying reality of a giant's world. Humanity would not last a single day. Our very bodies are perfectly tuned for our scale. Change that scale, and everything falls apart. It is a terrifying thought. Imagine a world where humans are microscopic. Imagine towering beings walking the earth. These giants would be vastly different creatures. Their existence would defy our understanding of biology and physics. The air itself would crush them. Their bones would shatter under their own mass. It is a dramatic and unavoidable truth. A human-sized creature simply scaled up would fail catastrophically. The square-cube law explains this. This scientific principle is terrifyingly clear. As an object grows in size, its volume increases much faster than its surface area. Picture a human 10 times taller. Their weight would increase by a factor of 1,000. Their strength, tied to muscle cross-section, would only increase by a factor of 100. This is a massive imbalance. Their legs would snap like twigs. Their internal organs would collapse. They would be utterly defenseless against their own bodies. According to the groundbreaking work of J.B.S. Haldane in On Being the Right Size, published in 1928, the physical limits imposed by scale are absolute. This scientific concept is grim. Even breathing would become a dramatic struggle. Our lungs are designed for our size. A giant's lungs would need to be impossibly huge. The air pressure alone would be a problem. They would need far more oxygen. This larger surface area for gas exchange would be monumental. Their respiratory system would simply not function. They would gasp for air constantly. Each breath would be a desperate fight for survival. Their blood circulation would also fail instantly. The heart would need to pump blood to an enormous height. This pressure would be immense. A normal human heart pumps blood roughly 1.6 meters high. A giant's heart would need to pump blood 10 times that height. This is an impossible task. The blood vessels would burst. Their brain would not receive enough oxygen. They would quickly lose consciousness. It would be a swift, brutal end. Movement itself would be a nightmare. Our bones are incredibly strong for our size. They are hollow and light. A giant's bones would need to be solid. They would need to be made of an unbelievably dense material. Even then, they would struggle. Their joints would grind and wear down quickly. The stress on cartilage would be unimaginable. Every step would be a monumental effort. They would move with agonizing slowness. Their immense size would be a curse, not a blessing. Consider the surface area of a giant. It increases significantly, but their volume increases even more. This creates a terrifying problem for temperature regulation. They would generate enormous amounts of metabolic heat. They would struggle to dissipate it. Their skin would need to be incredibly efficient at cooling. They would overheat rapidly. Imagine a giant burning up from the inside. It is a truly dramatic image. Even simple actions would become impossible. Imagine falling over. A human can often recover from a fall. A giant would suffer catastrophic damage. The force of impact would be immense. Their bones would shatter into 1,000 pieces. Their organs would rupture. Their sheer mass would be their undoing. They would be trapped by their own immense weight. Death would be instantaneous. Food and water consumption would be another dramatic hurdle. A creature 10 times our size needs exponentially more energy. Their caloric intake would be staggering. They would need to eat entire forests. They would need to drink rivers dry. The sheer scale of foraging would be impossible. The ecosystem could not support them. They would starve rapidly. They would be perpetually hungry. This constant need for sustenance would drive them to madness. Their senses would also betray them. Sound waves would travel differently. Their ears would be immense. The world would sound distorted. Their eyes would need to gather colossal amounts of light. Their perception of distance would be strange. Their very connection to reality would be warped. They would live in a world of muffled, overwhelming sensory input. It would be a disorienting, terrifying experience. The very air would feel like thick syrup to them. Our atmosphere is calibrated for our size. Larger objects experience greater air resistance. A giant running would face immense drag. This resistance would be like hitting a wall. Their movements would be hampered. Their speed would be reduced. They would be prisoners of the air itself. According to research on biomechanics and scaling laws from institutions like the University of Cambridge, the aerodynamic forces on a scaled-up organism would be prohibitive, making even locomotion extremely difficult. This scientific fact underscores their dramatic plight. Our small size allows for incredible agility. We can dodge, weave, and react quickly. A giant would be lumbering and slow. Their reaction time would be drastically extended. If they tripped, they would not be able to catch themselves. If a small object posed a threat, they would be unable to respond in time. Their massive size would make them tragically vulnerable. They would be easy targets for even the smallest irritations. The sheer engineering required for such a creature is beyond imagination. Their cells would need to be structured differently. Their tissues would need to possess impossible strength. Their biological systems would need a complete overhaul. They would be an entirely different life form. A simple scaling up is a dramatic fantasy. It is a biological impossibility. Consider the heat generated by their brains. A larger brain uses more energy. It also generates more heat. They would need an incredibly efficient cooling system for their brain. Without it, their brain would literally cook itself. Their thoughts would slow. Their consciousness would fade. They would be consumed by their own internal heat. It is a slow, agonizing demise. Their skin would be under immense pressure. It would need to be impossibly thick. It would need to withstand tears and punctures. It would also need to be flexible enough for movement. This combination is contradictory. Their skin would be a vulnerable, stretched membrane. It would struggle to contain their vast internal structure. Every movement would threaten a catastrophic tear. Even reproduction would be a dramatic challenge. Gestation periods would be enormous. The strain on the mother's body would be unbearable. Giving birth would be a terrifying, life-threatening event. The young would be enormous and fragile. Raising them would require gargantuan resources. The continuation of their species would be a constant, dramatic struggle against impossible odds. Our world is a human world. It is built for our scale. Every tree, every mountain, every river is relative to us. A giant's world would require a reimagining of everything. Gravity itself would be a dramatically different force for them. It would be a constant, oppressive weight. They would live under a perpetual burden. Their existence would be a continuous battle against the fundamental forces of the universe. So, while the idea of a giant walking among us is captivating, it is also deeply tragic. Their existence would be short. It would be painful. It would be a testament to the unyielding laws of physics and biology. Humanity, in its current form, could not last a single day in such a world. We are perfectly built for our size. We are perfectly built for our world. This balance is incredibly fragile. We are survivors only because of our scale. A world of giants is a world of impossible, dramatic suffering.